Welcome to ZeissInspect Airfoil. In this video, I'll show you how easy it is to import data. We'll talk about supported data formats, how to import optical 3D and CMM data, as well as different import options. If you want to try ZeissInspect Airfoil, take a look at the description below. There, you'll find links to download the software, request a free trial, and download training data. With ZeissInspect Airfoil, you can inspect optical 3D, CMM, and even volume data. In this video, we'll cover 3D and CMM data. As you might expect, the software supports lots of different formats. For CAD data, for example, you can inspect IGS and STEP files. In case you're working with Zeiss Calypso, you can also import SAB files. For 3D measuring data, you can import STL and G3D files and many more. To get a list of all supported file formats, have a look at the tech guide. To access the tech guide, you can use the question mark under Help and click the software function, in this case, the import. As far as CMM data is concerned, you can import XML file formats. For more information, check out the tech guide article, Introduction to XML File Formats for Airfoil CMM data. If your CMM data is already radius corrected, you can also import other formats like ASCII, for example. Let's start by importing CAD data. This is relevant for both optical 3D and CMM data, since you may be working with a CAD file, whether you're working with an optical or tactile machine. To import a CAD file, you can either use File, Import File, or you can drag and drop the file into the project. Just so you know, you can also drag and drop the file directly onto the Start screen. In this case, the software automatically creates a new project. Whenever you import data, the software opens the Import dialog. Here, you'll have different options depending on the type of data and the elements that are already in your project. We'll talk more about the import options a bit later. First, let's talk about import templates. Here on the right, you see a description of the selected import template. ZeissInspect Airfoil offers a special import template called Airfoil. Select this template in the drop-down list and let's take a closer look at it. You can use Edit Template to look at it and change it. When you import CAD data, the software converts the CAD into a triangulated mesh in order to compare it to the measuring data. To do that, you need to specify the triangulation parameters. The most important one is the mesh resolution under triangulation. For airfoil inspections, we recommend using a high mesh resolution. The import filter is helpful when you're working with extensive CAD files. You can use it to include or exclude certain elements of the CAD. This can speed up the import process. One thing I want to point out here is that ZeissInspect Airfoil also supports the import of PMI data, which can speed up your inspections tremendously. If you want more information, check out the video How to Perform GD&T Inspections in ZeissInspect Optical 3D, or better yet, the Inspect GD&T Analysis e-learning. The import template Airfoil usually leads to good results, but feel free to adjust it if you need to. For more information about the different templates, look at the tech guide. Now back to the two import options that are relevant in this case: New Part and Clipboard. Add as Fixture is part of our virtual measuring room for automated measuring systems. If you use the import option Clipboard, the data is saved in the project, but excluded from recalculation, so it cannot be used for inspections. However, the clipboard offers lots of flexibility because you can sort through data before assigning it to a part, and it provides significant benefits for the CAD import, such as fast import thanks to a preview tessellation, as well as extensive editing functionalities. In the clipboard, you can delete CAD bodies and elements you don't need before creating a new part, or just choose the elements you want to add to the part. Select them and drag them onto New Part. When you use the import option New Part, the software imports the CAD data and creates a part in the Explorer. Parts are important because the software groups all the elements belonging together under one part. Please note that data you import must belong to a part if you want to use it for inspections. You'll find the CAD data under your part, which you can rename either by clicking the right mouse button and selecting Rename Element, or by using the keyboard shortcut F2. I'll call it IGT 3D, short for Industrial Gas Turbine, and 3D because this will be the part with optical 3D measuring data. And here's the CAD with the original name in brackets. On a side note, you can still edit your CAD data even if it belongs to a part. Just click the pencil to open the Edit CAD mode. Here, you can delete CAD bodies, add them as a fixture, move them to another part, or back to the clipboard. Zeiss Inspect Airfoil also allows you to inspect multiple parts in one project and even create digital assembly situations. Next, let's add actual data to the part, starting with optical 3D data that was captured with an ATIS sensor. Drag and drop the mesh into the project. In this case, we want to add the mesh to the existing part. Use the import option Add to Part to add the mesh to the part. As you can see, the software added the mesh to the part and marks it with a green icon. Now let's briefly talk about color codes in the software. Nominal elements always have a blue icon. Actual elements always have a green one. Now we have a CAD and actual mesh in the project, assigned to the part IGT 3D. But when you look at the status of the project, you'll see that part of the status bar is red. Click it to open the project guide. The tab Project Guide helps you with your inspections by providing hints and possible actions. As you can see here, the software needs an alignment. You need the alignment to compare the actual data to the nominal data in your project. All you need to do is click Create Alignment. You can have more than one alignment in your project, but you usually start with an initial alignment to bring the two datasets together. And that's exactly what the software suggests under Possible Action. So let's create a pre-alignment. So much for importing and preparing 3D data. Now let's take a look at CMM data. That also allows me to show you another feature of Zeiss Inspect Airfoil: projects with multiple parts. You can actually inspect multiple parts in a single project. This is often used to simulate assembly situations, for example. But I'll use it to show you the CMM import and preparation for inspection. You'll need nominal curves and the corresponding measured curves. Before we start, please note that if you're working with Zeiss Calypso Curve, in addition to Zeiss Inspect Airfoil, your process will be super easy. You can simply select the curves as well as the alignment you want to use for your inspections, and use the function Turbine Blade in Zeiss Calypso Curve to export the data to Zeiss Inspect Airfoil. If you're curious about the possibilities, check out the Calypso Curve for Airfoil's training. But I'll show you the manual import process here. Let's start with the nominal curves. To import them, simply drag and drop them into the project. Then use the import option New Part to create a second part in the project. I'll call it IGT CMM. When you open the part in the Explorer, you'll see that Zeiss Inspect Airfoil imported the nominal surface curves as well as their base planes and respective coordinate systems. The nominal sections are created by projecting the nominal curves onto the base planes. If you have a CAD file, you can also import it via drag and drop. Select Add to Part and then select the part you want to add it to. In this case, IGT CMM. Next, let's import the measured curves. Please note that the curves we're going to import are not radius corrected yet. Same as with the CAD file, drag and drop them into the project. Select Add to Part, and then the respective part. As you can see in the Explorer, the software imported the measured curves, as well as the actual coordinate systems. And the software displays them in green. Nominal data is marked with a blue icon, actual data with a green one. Now, before you can start inspecting the CMM data, you need to prepare it. That's super easy in SeisInspect Airfoil. The software offers a dedicated workspace called Airfoil CMM Data Preparation. In the main toolbar, you'll find the function Prepare Sections for Inspection. This is a fully automated function that corrects the stylosphere radius for the measured curves, projects the nominal curves into planes to create sections, and reconstructs the alignment. Here's what you need to do. If you have multiple parts in your project, select the part you want to apply the function to. In this case, IGT CMM. Select the stylosphere radius correction. That's multiple curves airfoils in this case. And we want to correct all curves. If you want more information about this function, look at the tech guide. When you click OK, the software computes a stylosphere radius corrected surface based on the selected measured curves. Click OK again to create the surface, and you're done. Let's take a quick look at the Explorer so I can show you what the function did. It created an actual corrected surface that is used to create the actual sections, which you can find in the Explorer under Sections. The actual sections are created by intersecting the nominal sections with the actual corrected surface. The actual sections can now be used for inspections in SeisInspect Airfoil. And it reconstructed the alignment based on the imported nominal and actual alignments. If you look at the main toolbar here, you'll see that we now have the stacking axis alignment. So much for this short demonstration. If you really want to dive into the world of CMM data inspection, check out the Inspect Airfoil CMM Data Basic e-learning. Now that you know how to import optical 3D and/or CMM data, let's perform some airfoil inspections in SeisInspect Airfoil. Want to find out more? Check out the video How to Perform Airfoil Profile Inspections in SeisInspect Airfoil. For more comprehensive training, look at the Inspect Airfoil Optical 3D Data Basic e-learning or Inspect Airfoil CMM Data Basic e-learning. You'll find the links in the description below.